Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of complaining about the movie Napoleon. Last time we talked about the Battle of Waterloo, which was just awful in pretty much every conceivable way, but I had a lot of comments telling me that, oh, no, Waterloo was nothing. Austerlitz is where the real horror comes in, so why not give it a peek? So let's just get right into... Oh, very unprofessional. I am so sorry. Just give me 1 second. I think I have to take this phone call. Hello? Oh, yes, absolutely. It's the video sponsor. It'll just be a few minutes. Once again, this video is sponsored by Flexispot, and in particular, their C7 Max Chair. Now, unlike usual, where the sponsors give me a series of talking points that they want me to hit about their products, I've been using the C7 for the last couple of months now, and Flexispot just wanted me to genuinely share my thoughts on it without any specific requirements. So here it goes. I've really been enjoying it. I love the fact that with the C7, I can lean back just so far for whenever I'm watching a movie with friends on Discord or something, and that whenever I'm, needing to work, basically every element of it can be adjusted or adapted in some way to how I'm wanting to sit at the time. I think the biggest thing that I've come to kind of rely on recently is the armrests and how they have this kind of 360 degrees flexibility alongside with moving up and down individually. So whether I'm spending a lot of time writing something and I need, to literally hold my arms up for comfort, or whether I just want the armrest to be more or less out of the way, it's really easy to do that, unlike most other chairs where, just what you get is what you get. Overall, I've really enjoyed my C7 Max chair from Flexispot. So as always, if you follow the link in the description, use that code C750, then you can get $50 off your purchase. And of course, the chair itself comes with a 30-day risk-free return policy as well. So thank you so much to Flexispot for sponsoring this video. And now, let us return to the horror. Alright, sounds good. Thanks so much. Alright, everyone, there goes the sponsor. Now it's time to get right on into the content. As always, we're gonna throw the headphones on, and let's begin. Alright, we have a lone wanderer coming through the mist. It's like something out of Diablo. Austerlitz, 2nd December, 1805. He's got a mule. We're loading some local peasant, I suppose. There we have the camp with all of those French flags. Again, we've got to make sure that we remember who we are. We'll try to not complain too much. Ooh, okay. All right, stabbing some loopholes in through a farmhouse. I like that, actually. That's pretty good. Very dramatic shot. Now, of course, everything looks awful and blue and terrible. Like, just the actual cinematography is kind of just gross to look at. This really is one of the single most colorful time periods in military history, and we just completely forego all of that with this heavy filter. Like, the shocking thing is actually a lot of the uniforms look pretty decent, all things considered, for a movie like this, and we're not actually going to see any of, what would make this a visual spectacle. The white of the snow, the brown of the thatch, the brilliant blue of the uniforms, the black riffling bearskins, and the silver plates. It would be visually just an absolute treat, a spectacle, but when we overload this thick blue over everything, it looks awful. But you all know that. Alright, we're knocking loopholes through the farmhouse. That is actually a pretty cool touch. I like that. We're fortifying the farmstead. Loopholes, like knocking holes in walls and buildings, was a very common way to fortify structures back in the day. A lot of those were... Okay, hold on. Whoa, That's our boy? That wasn't... Hold on. At the very beginning, this guy is coming out with, a donkey or whatever, and he's wearing all, the thick robes. That's not meant to be Napoleon, is it? Because now we cut over here, and we see this... Oh my god. There goes the donkey with, the random load and the... What? Napoleon, what are you doing? What is the point of that? What? Why are you hauling a random piece of thatch before you hop on your horse? Why was the emperor alone? Since when does the emperor not have a staff with him? Was this a common trend of the Emperor Napoleon, that he would just kind of vibe out in the woods on his own with a donkey every once in a while before battle to just like meditate or something? Is it okay? Yeah, sure. I guess we don't have to worry about him getting captured or anything. I'm sure they have sufficient scouts. These movies always show good reconnaissance operations. All right, those guys looking down the barrels there. They're getting ready. I guess they're testing out to make sure they have good sights, even though it's basically just like a little fence that they're kind of sitting on. So, all right, yeah, sure, whatever. All of the flags again. Got to remember that we're French, otherwise we might forget. Every individual tent. It's very important that every individual tent has at least one flag so that we know who it belongs to. One of those was a regimental flag by the look of it. Everything else is just like a generic tricolor. He's talking about Josephine, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if we can ignore his little monologue. He's going to ride along as they're built. What are you doing there? Hold on. All right, so he's going to ride along and cheer to the boys in the trench. What's this guy? What are you hammering at? Why are we putting stakes in the trench line? That seems a little unnecessary. Okay. Yeah, the Emperor. Great job. Woo, those are very shallow trenches. You guys got a lot of work ahead of you. Okay, so we have a long trench line being established on the flank opposite of the village that they're fortifying. Once again, it seems like there's a large, like the encampment, like literally the tents are directly behind the artillery. Does that? Oh, no, okay, that's just a little itty-bitty bit of barricade before the gun. At first, I thought that was a gun shield on the actual gun, like it was a World War I cannon or something. That was gonna be a real rant there, but no, okay, that's fine. Just a little bit of fortification in front of... Okay, we're hiding the guns now. Now, hold on, though, hold on. If you look at the actual scale of the defenses in front of the cannon, like, that's really not gonna... It's just like a little... like 2-3 feet of earth just kind of piled up in front of the... Like, if a cannonball were to actually hit into that, it is completely gone after one shot. You guys are taking all the time to dig these really, really deep... Well, not very deep, but presumably they will go deeper. You guys are taking time to build this massive, long trench line for some reason, and you can't be bothered to fortify the guns? Maybe those weren't tents for the guns. Maybe they were these tarps that they're using to... cover them up for some reason. Protecting against the elements? I guess if you were gonna camp out overnight. Okay, we have a guy just kind of vibing here, having a drink. That's not Napoleon. No, it's not. Okay. The way that he was wearing that, like, the cloak earlier, it made me think that that might have been him again. It's like, oh no, he has a mustache. It's not him. Receiving a signal of some sort? No, okay, Cossacks are smoking. Are Cossacks really gonna be, like, that they're always... Are they gonna be that incompetent as to be scouting out ahead of the Allied forces and just lighting up a cigarette directly in view? It's like they know the enemy is there, and they're gonna be just lighting up the... That seems a little stupid on my part, maybe? I don't know. People do stupid things, but that seems a little silly. Alright. The enemy has been spotted. We're gonna zoom on away. Oh, okay, some semaphore signals. I don't know if there's a different name for it when it's light instead of flags, but that's actually pretty cool. That's fun. Random sentry happens to spot that as well. Random cavalryman just kind of hanging out in the back. But okay, signal received, light it up. And then the... Hold on, the signalman... Okay. Signalman is... First of all, it actually kind of looked like he sort of caught the signal, like, by coincidence, as opposed to was dedicatedly looking in that direction, because he was kind of like, oh, and then started... Whatever, we'll leave that be. Signalman receives the signal from the forward scout, signals back, then abandons his post. He doesn't say to an orderly or to some corporal or whatever, like, hey, word from the forward, blah, 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 go and report this. He's just like, okay, cool, there probably won't be another signal in the next, like, 15, 20 minutes. I'll go and report it myself. Yeah, that's fine. Cool, whatever. Your Majesty. Reports directly to Napoleon, who's just kind of meditating again, like he was in the woods before, I guess. So, the enemy has been spotted the next morning, I suppose, and there they are. They're coming on in a great big column. That hat looks horrible. Man, he's in dire straits. Okay, more semaphore. I like that. That's pretty good. Yep, receiving the signals. That's pretty good. Actually showing, so unlike in Waterloo where they just kind of shouted out, "Go get them, guys!" Here we're actually seeing the means of communication across a forest to indicate what's happening. That's actually pretty decent. My god, that fortified village thing though, like, once again, all of the flags, all of the tents are just sort of lined up. Why are the tents all, like, outside of the actual fortified position? Like, this is a horrible, horrible position, which that's the entire point, I think, is what they're getting at. This is a purposeful bait that they're putting forward. But, I mean, this is horribly designed. Like even as bait, this looks so incredibly obvious. I mean, it looks like there might be some structures over there that, whatever, yeah, it doesn't look good. Alright, so all the men were resting underneath the tarps and everything. Guys, stay nice and... Hold on. In the Battle of Waterloo scene, they just had a bunch of random British drummers just pounding away for no actual reasons. Now we're actually getting an order to stand to, and it's, like, dead silent. There are no drums, there's no, like, it's just a... Once again, this should be a line of, like, thousands and thousands of men, presumably. The Battle of Austerlitz, like... massive engagement. One of the largest of the Napoleonic Wars, right? Like, the hundreds of thousands of guys or something. It's a lot. And we just have a single staff officer, stand to, and then everyone, oh, okay, all right, that's the order. We're not gonna disseminate the orders down the line. Wow, you guys are gonna get tired really quick holding up your muskets like that. You guys sure you don't want to rest your arms a little bit? Because the enemy is still quite far away. And we're gonna be hiding out in the trenches. I did hear about this, how, yep, they cover it up with tarps and they're gonna go, ha-ha! Alright, whoa, okay, alright, so the Austro-Russian force, or Russo-Austrian? Whatever, the Allied force is coming on. This, again, the fog makes sense. It was a foggy battle, as I understand it, but the blue filter this should be such a colorful scene, like, betwixt all the fog, and that would look fantastic. It looks so boring and lame. I don't know too much about the Russian and Austrian armies of this time, but it's looking like we have a grenadier or fusiliers alongside standard infantry. We also might have some light infantry with these with these plumes and everything in the front, with like standard lines and that. It seems like there's another bearskin right there. This is a massive hodgepodge of different uniforms and kits and everything, just sort of all mashed together into one big group. Now, this does look decent enough for, like, advancing in, advancing in a column, right? We have multiple lines, but, like, they go further back. But then, skip ahead to this, and it's like, okay, so we're going to have a line there and a line there, and then it's just sort of a blob going all the way back. Officers in front, which looks decent, but, like, just this massive blob of men going all the way back with a whole bunch of flags. No color or definition to any of it. Also, like, no glinting. Like, if the sun is just rising or something, as they were, as it seems to be, they should be, like, shining. All the equipment, all the metal, all the badges. Like, if you look at the old, like, 1970s Waterloo movie, one of the things that really strikes you is just how beautiful it is and how all of that metal is glinting in the sunlight, even through the fog and the mist and everything. Like, this right there, that should be a beautiful scene, and it looks just boring.
Wait. Let them think they have the higher ground.
Okay. Napoleon once again just sort of individually controlling the entire force simultaneously, shouting to a random officer. Okay. He's observing them. The Russians and the Austrians are just marching on, completely unbeknownst to what's going to be happening to them, I suppose. Cavalry just sort of weaving their way through the thick formations of infantry, because if Napoleonic formations are anything, it's very porous, of course. It's not like the entire foundation of combat was having, strong, cohesive formations that don't allow things to pass through them. And that, of course, makes, the actual management of units on the checkerboard, on the chessboard of a battlefield, so complicated, is literally having enough physical space to move everyone around. Okay, we have a block of infantry here. We need the cavalry to pass through, so we'll have them, counter march at the oblique in order to have them come around the side. No, we need to have the cavalry get up to the front for some reason. So we'll just have them pass on through, and they'll just weave their way along in between. It's totally fine. It's like a total war game. Once again, a whole mixture of cavalry. We have light, maybe hussars in the front. We have a heavy cavalry with the helmets in the rear. They look like Austrians with that white. All right, and just as before, the entire Allied battle doctrine is going to be, yes, there are Frenchmen in the middle of this massive valley in an exposed position. Now, yes, we were pursuing an army of like 100,000 guys or something, but it looks like there are maybe like 10,000 guys just right there between all these massive hills. How are we going to get them? Full frontal charge. Everything in a massive group, just go and get them, guys. It'll be great. It'll be fine. Okay, there are the French lines. We can tell because of all the flags. Maybe that's another big reason why they need all those flags, is because there's so little color in the entire sequence. It actually would be hard to tell who is who. As before as well, the cavalry charging in a complete mess of a formation. Like, these guys way off in the back. It's like a little clump as well. Like, this is like a single troop in a severe disorder that's going to hit the enemy in just horrible, horrible shape. Gonna charge on through, and wow, that did like nothing. Guys, you could have fired, like, the cavalry could have been way further out when you shot. And it looks like that shot actually did, so, like, look at how many there are when they come in. Like, maybe 10 of them fall. Like, barely, I see one guy in the back who goes down, but barely any of them go down. And incidentally, even the guy back there that does go down, you'll note a person falls off somewhere along in there. Yeah. The person falls off, the horse keeps on going. Guys, aim for the horses. Shoot the horses. Pile up the horses. It's pretty... I know it's not very nice. I know that people, modern audiences won't appreciate it, but, it is war. It's meant to be horrifying and disgusting and scary, and shoot... They're charging at you. Shoot the horse. But no, we're just going to shoot a couple of infantry. Barely anyone goes down. Yeah, that was a horrible volley. Hey, there we go. We got one at least. Once again, okay. All right, so the cavalry just sweep right on over through. The infantry then follow up. They don't shoot at all. They just charge in. And just like that, okay, cool. So it took about 5 seconds, and like a 20th of the Austro-Russian force, and already, the French central position is just gone. There was, like, no resistance, there was no fighting, they're just, washed away, they're completely taken over. The vast majority of the Allied force is not at all occupied, but Napoleon, from way back over here, shouts, now's your time. And the entire French line, all simultaneously, once again, a weird mixture of different units in there, they throw off the covers and they race on down. Who needs to maintain formations on a surprise bayonet charge? Just an irregular, massive... I mean, it's not like the enemy has a bunch of heavy cavalry that they just use to sweep over the first position, and that would wreak havoc going through all these boys. Okay, so they're just gonna... Yeah, they just race on down as fast as they can go. Hold on now. You think I didn't see you. I saw you. Look at all... I think that this... Okay, either this scene is reversed, and this video was uploaded by Sony, so this should be the real... This clip was either reversed, or all of these guys are left-handed musketeers. And guess what isn't a thing? Is being a left-handed musketeer. All of the drill was focused around firing using the right hand, because obviously the righties are dominant. All of the drill needs to be synchronized to the majority of soldiers. If you're a left-handed soldier and you join the army, guess what? You learn how to use your right hand as the dominant one in all bayonet drill, in all firing drill. Now, okay, sure. One guy, maybe, who's going along because he's left-handed, just like, this is going to be easier for me, and, I mean, there's no doctrine here whatsoever anyways, we're just going and getting them. Sure, whatever, fine. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... all of these boys? No. You thought I wouldn't notice you flipping the footage around like that. Looks horrible. Looks awful. And they just go right on in and get them. And is that going to be... Alright, so... The little village here that they fortified in the camp is just completely descended into chaos of individual firing. Of the Russians and the Austrians here as well, it looks like, are just charging in just en masse like a massive horde. The French then are going to go in and join the fray. Hold on, isn't the entire point, if the Allies are in the village fighting hand to hand and they're all distracted and they're thinking that they're winning and their formations are all cut up and destroyed, wouldn't it be much better to, I don't know, form up, march as fast as you can down the hill, and then form up in solid lines just outside, and then just start pouring fire into them when they're disarrayed? Also, a lot of these guys do not... No bayonet, no bayonet, no bayonet, no bayonet, no... that one does have it. A lot of those guys do not have bayonets, considering that they're in a melee fight. Likewise for all the guys who were in the village. A lot of them didn't have bayonets either, even though they explicitly knew that they were bait. Don't you think any of them would have said, like, hey, Marshal, shouldn't we, like, prepare... I know we're meant to be, but, like, we can still make it... Okay, never mind. No, it's fine. Cool. Whatever. Second wave! Go on in! Cavalry formations? No, just rush them! Just get on in there! We're just shoveling in the infantry and the cavalry like so much coal. Just get in as fast as you can! Okay, the Austrians are speaking in English now. The Cossacks were speaking in Russian, but now the Austrians are speaking in English. Okay. One guy just shouts out, retreat, and then they all run away, all together, all at once, they run away. And the cavalry chases them down. They're really keeping together remarkably well, considering that there was no order whatsoever earlier. Okay, now this is going to be the infamous lake scene. This is going to be the... Oh, those were French, actually. You see, when there's no color, when there's no formations, when there's no order of any sort, it was impossible for me to tell. But these aren't all, I guess these are the Allies running, yeah, those are all Allies running away there. And now it's going to be, I thought that these were more, okay, those were Allies, those were Frenchmen. It's impossible to keep track. It should be incredibly easy to keep track. And they're all going to start shooting along, and, alright, now he realizes, oh no, we're on a frozen lake, and... Gosh. Man, wouldn't it be so much easier to actually put up a resistance to the enemy if we bothered to keep any sort of formation and organizational anything? Okay, now someone pointed out to me actually in the last video that in my last video I talked about how this music seemed kind of weird. It felt like Eastern, like really Eastern inspired, and I didn't like that. Someone actually pointed out to me it's actually Corsican music, like traditional Corsican music. So I redact my complaint from earlier. That's actually really cool because obviously Napoleon Corsican origins, having that music play there. Now, of course, as I understand it, Napoleon kind of rejected his Corsican-ness when he, the whole French emperor thing came along. But I still think that having it play in this, like, haunting way, that actually is, I like that. I appreciate that. That's pretty interesting. What I don't appreciate is, once again, a single wave, the entire line of artillery, this massive, massive unified batteries, blammo, away they go, and it's gonna destroy the lake, and they all drown, and it's so dramatic, and down they go. Now, as I understand it, this was actually a thing that the Russians, I don't know if the Austrians, but the Russians at least, did retreat over a frozen lake at one point, and the French did open fire on it and, like, destroyed the lake, and it was a whole thing. It's very much debated, as I understand it, how much of an effect that actually had, and like, it's possible that only like a very few people actually wound up like drowning and being hurt in that way, and it was sort of played up by the French to make it more dramatic and intense. That's good. So so like, you know, regardless of exactly how much of an effect the lake thing had, I can't say for sure. When the movie decides to do it, they're pretty good at showing the brutality of warfare, the horror of warfare, the gruesome nature of it. But it's also very irregular. Like, you know, we have the guy. That's good. That's frightening. That is like visceral and basically disturbing. Like when I say basically, I mean like in the most base, like down to our soul kind of sense. That extra right there, that is panic. That is good. That is good. That is what a war movie or what a war scene should look like, right? It should not be fun. It should not be cool. It should be horrifying. But the thing is that the movie is very selective in when it actually shows war to be like that, because so much, that was also pretty good. But so much of the rest of it just feels so comical because it's so wrong. And so it doesn't work. It feels disjointed. I shouldn't be laughing, and, well, of course I wasn't meant to be laughing during any of this at all, but because they care so little, it has that effect. Whoa, they're trying to get that one guy. Very heroic. Okay, he rides along. I think we get it. We have more time is being spent on the ice, which is a small possible thing that happened after the battle. We have more time being spent on that, it feels like, than the actual engagement. And there, I think that's going to be it. The tragedy of the Austrian Empire. All right. Very cool. Very, very artistic. And we have that. Okay. So, in conclusion, I spent a lot of time just sort of rambling on with all this, but I think in a rapid, quick little conclusion, what I'm going to say about the battle overall is that it fails to acknowledge the single thing that made the Battle of Austerlitz so impressive. I'll put it like this. When it comes to Napoleonic warfare, the single most important feature of it, and the single most impressive element of Napoleon's command style that made him so successful, it wasn't, we'll have a weak little village, and then we'll hide all the infantry, and surprise, and blam, and now they're dead, because the Austrians and the Russians are so stupid that they'll just pour everything into a singular valley, and then we can shoot them and they're dead. That's like total war battle levels of strategy. It's the sort of thing that I would have come up with when I was like 10 and be like, I'm so good at strategy games. I'm so smart, because it turns out flanking is valuable. Who'da thunk, right? Hammer and anvil kind of stuff. Turns out that's a useful way to fight a battle. Shocking information, I know. What made Napoleon and Napoleonic warfare so interesting is the principle of marching divided and fighting united. What Napoleon did at the Battle of Austerlitz is basically make it look like a certain portion of his army was very weak, was very exposed, and provided as bait for the Russians and the Austrians to come in to engage. And yes, when that engagement was happening, then a series of other forces that were obscured, that were farther away, that were in different areas, they got word, okay, now they're held down, come in and hit them from the rear, come in and hit them from the sides, envelop them and destroy them like that. But the thing is that what makes that impressive is the scale of the forces involved meant that that flanking maneuver wasn't just a matter of, okay guys, now go get them. It was a massive logistical effort involving, like we saw, semaphore, and as well as, of course, riders and messengers, and all these different layers of communication and coordination, meaning to make it to where basically all of these different constituent parts are operating in tandem with one another. That is extraordinarily difficult to do. And what we're seeing in these battle scenes is the complete absence of any of what makes this time period interesting, what makes this time period so compelling, what makes Napoleon so good at what he did, right? It's dumbing it down. It's oversimplifying everything, and it doesn't give the intended effect for that reason. This doesn't make me think, oh wow, Napoleon is such a strategic genius. It makes me think, wow, Napoleon is just the least dumb out of this horde of people who are all absolute morons. In short, it's not good. Just like with the Waterloo scene. Was it worse than the Waterloo? I think if I knew more about the exact maneuvers of the battle and how, incredibly complex it really was, I would probably think so. But for now, whichever one is worse, they're both pretty terrible. So that has been, once again, Napoleon. Ridley Scott's, I don't know. I wasn't there. What do I know? I wasn't actually there. I guess I have no right to complain. What is history? Is it a science? No, it's more just vibes-based. And I guess the vibe that we're going to go for with this one is blue. So thank you all for watching as ever. Just a few little things to promote to you. Of course, my own book, The Corpse War of 1793, is available for sale now at nativeoak.org, on Amazon, and really wherever books are sold online. It is an 18th century zombie outbreak from the perspective of a common soldier. It might be something that you enjoy. You can check it out via the links down in the description below. Likewise, the editor of this video, Jaren, is also an author and an artist. He is an amazing comic book series that you will find information for down below if you'd like to support him as well. Thank you all for watching, especially to the videos, to the channel's supporters on Patreon, because without your support, of course, none of my work, especially these sillier things, would be possible. So thank you all, and until the next time, my dear viewer, I am and I shall remain